Louth County Archive receives more inquiries about the hole-in-the-wall escape by Frank Aiken and 104 men from Dundalk Jail on the 27th of July 1922 than in any other aspect of the jail's history. This short video will help to tell the story of the events surrounding that escape. During the period from the 1916 Rising to the truce in 1921, Dundalk Jail was used to hold Republican prisoners. Among them were prominent figures like Ernest Blythe, Dick McKee, Terence McSweeney, and brothers Austin and Michael Brennan. After the truce of July 1921, the jail for a time reverted to civilian use. Dáil Éireann voted on the 7th of January 1922 to ratify the Anglo-Irish Treaty, which triggered the IRA split in March 1922 between those who accepted the treaty and those who did not. Although not enthusiastic, Frank Aiken, shown here standing second from the left, and most of the 4th Northern Division, apart from the Dundalk Brigade, conditionally accepted the treaty, pending the publication of a new constitution for the Irish Free State. On the 13th of April 1922, Aiken moved his headquarters from Newry to the Army Barracks in Dundalk and continued to accept instructions and directions from the government and from the Minister for Defence, General Richard Mulcahy. Civil war broke out on the 28th of June 1922 when the National Army attacked Republican forces in the Four Courts in Dublin. Frank Aiken announced that the 4th Northern would remain neutral, which was unacceptable to some in the government. He was instructed by the Chief of Staff, General Owen O'Duffy, to arrest the anti-treaty Dundalk Brigade, which had taken over Ann Street Barracks. But Aiken refused on the basis that these men were now accepting orders from him. On the 16th of July, Aiken and his officers from the 4th Northern had a meeting with Richard Mulcahy to ease tensions. Mulcahy asked Aiken to prepare a position paper for submission to government. Mulcahy later acknowledged the effectiveness of Aiken's efforts to preserve the peace, but in retrospective justification of what happened next, doubted the loyalty of some others in the 4th Northern. Unknown to Mulcahy, early on the following day, the 17th of July, the pro-government 5th Northern Division from Monaghan under the command of General Dan Hogan invaded Dundalk and captured Aiken and his men in the army barracks while they slept. John Campbell from Crossmaglen, who was killed as he tried to escape from Ann Street Barracks, was the only fatality in the operation. Matters were tense at the jail when the back gate was smashed open and there was an angry confrontation as a 5th Northern officer complained that the jail had not been opened to government troops. The warders protested that they were obliged to protect the jail and they were unable to distinguish between Free State and Republican forces. Up to that point, the 4th Northern were regarded by everyone as being government troops, and they had provided armed guards for the jail. About 100 men, including Frank Aiken and most of his officers from the 4th Northern Division, were imprisoned in the jail, which now held 135 prisoners. With less than 20 staff, the Governor wrote warning of the intolerable strain and requesting additional manpower as a matter of urgency. On the 27th of July, John McCoy, adjutant of the 4th Northern, shown in this photo standing on the right, who had avoided capture, gathered his men to counterattack. One group was to keep the path to the north clear at Castletown Road. Another group under McCoy headed for the jail. A third group was to isolate the train station. And a fourth group was to stop reinforcements from the military barracks. McCoy's men laid a mine against the wall of the jail as Aiken and his men assembled inside to take morning drill. At 7:15 a.m. there was a violent explosion. As the explosives were not packed in, the blast carried debris in all directions, dislodging plasterwork in the nearby county infirmary and blowing an 8-metre hole in the base of the wall. As hand grenades were lobbed to distract attention, Frank Aiken and 104 men made a dash for freedom. Attempts to release the remaining 30 or so prisoners were foiled when the warders' keys were thrown over a security fence. The warders, who were unarmed except for batons, complained that the military guard failed to turn out until the prisoners had escaped. A train was hijacked which blocked Quay Street level crossing as reinforcements came under heavy fire from a barricade in Barrack Street. Troops from Ann Street, who pursued the escapees, were ambushed at Castletown Cross, and an army private, J.F. McCaffrey from County Fermanagh, was killed. Aiken and his officers made good their escape, but John McCoy was arrested as he struggled with cars that were earmarked for use as transport. Records show that just about half of the escapees were from the 4th Northern Division. The remainder were from County Meath and the Midlands. For most, freedom was short-lived. Within a few days, 60 of the 105 who had escaped were back in custody. 3 weeks later, on the 14th of August, Aiken counterattacked. Leading an assault force across the Castletown River from Ballurgan, the Point Road gates of the army barracks were blown up. In the battle that followed, 5 members of the National Army were killed and 9 wounded. Aiken's attacking force lost 1 killed and 30 wounded. By 6 a.m, the town was back under Aiken's control. Vast quantities of military stores were taken and 200 troops made prisoner. Prison staff, including the governor, were also incarcerated in their own jail. They were pressurised to resume their duties as warders, guarding the National Army prisoners, but they refused. After some negotiation, cooks agreed to stay on to prepare food for the prisoners, while the remaining warders were released. Within a few days, the National Army retook Dundalk. The jail came back under government control and again held Republican prisoners. Aiken and a sizable force remained at large. At least 2 large-scale attacks were planned on the jail in October 1922 that were called off at the last minute. On the 13th of January 1923, 3 Republican prisoners were executed in the precincts of the jail. Thomas McKeown of Piedmont, Ballurgan, County Louth, John McNulty of Bleaks, County Armagh, and Thomas Murray of Kilcarn, County Meath. On the 22nd of January, 3 more prisoners were executed, this time in the army barracks: James Melia and Thomas Lennon of Dundalk, and Joseph Ferguson of Giles's Quay. On the death of Liam Lynch on the 10th of April, Frank Aiken was appointed Chief of Staff of the IRA. Working in tandem with Eamon de Valera, a unilateral suspension of the war by Republicans took effect on the 30th of April, followed by a dump arms order on the 24th of May, which effectively ended the Civil War. Republican prisoners continued to be held in Dundalk Jail up to 1924. In 1931, the jail was closed and formally abandoned.